Okay, so I came across this Reddit post that I briefly want to touch on that I feel like speaks to me and speaks to a lot of people out there. And maybe this will help someone watching in the random void of YouTube. I don't even upload or post, but I just figured maybe this would be something that might help a human being out there. Um, but here, it's right in front of me. The title's okay, but what am I actually supposed to be doing? This is in a self improvement subreddit, and I'll just read the first paragraph or two. It says, I'm a guy, I just turned 21, I'm studying abroad in Japan, I just got cheated on, and I feel so mentally untethered. For better or worse, the journey of my own life has come to the forefront of my focus as I face adulthood, college graduation, and growing up. It feels like I'm at the start of my journey, and all I have to do is take the first step, but I can't. All I see is all the stuff about my 20s being the best years of my life and how it could be the time where you set up the foundation of your life. It's supposed to be exploratory, where I follow my passions to a place where, hopefully, my purpose will become clear. But I have thought in my head constantly I am absolutely scared to death of wasting time. For me, it's all about progress and results. I want to level up. I feel like it's necessary. I need to feel like my days were well spent and used to build towards my goals. But I don't have any goals. I don't know where to go. I don't know what I want. Sometimes I feel like I don't even know who I really am. I feel this overwhelming and crushing pressure to work as hard as I possibly can towards something, and I want to, but there's nothing there. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't even know what the first step is. And it goes on and on about, diving into studies and yada, yada, yada. But I think I mean, yeah, there's a lot to unpack. But I think the first thing that I want to point out is that this is so common amongst people, including myself, that is not really talked about a lot for some reason. I feel like it's masked, or maybe people see it as selfish or just not worth talking about because who would care about my passions and how I feel about my purpose? We're supposed to be working, we're supposed to be making money, um, promotions, getting good grades, um, a lot of external things. And I'm 24 currently. I have a 9 to 5 in tech sales, and I could fully understand where this person's coming from. I feel like the past couple of years I've been diving into my own meaning in life, what I'm interested in, what I care about, what things mean to me. And I feel like he's kind of in this journey of doing the same thing. And it's super hard because this journey does not have a timeline. There's no clear picture as to the highs and lows that you'll have or if you'll even get an answer to the questions. And during one time frame, you might think you found it, and then you later end up realizing that this is something that you don't even care about anymore. Because us as humans, we're constantly evolving and changing as people. It's hard to just put a pinpoint as to what gives us meaning and what we're passionate about. And I looked up a stat today. It actually says 70% of employees feel their personal sense of purpose is linked to their job, which is crazy to me. Um, I'd say, okay, that might be true, but if I already gave them the same amount of money for free, would they still be doing that line of work? You know, so does that mean that you're as passionate about that job as you thought you were? If I were to just give you $100,000 in cash for this, software engineering job that you're saying you're passionate about, would you still work? You know, obviously not getting extra pay and things like that, but I'm just saying, would you still have that job if money wasn't the part of the equation? It might be just a coping mechanism for us that, we it's so draining to us, or it's so something that's not tied to us as humans, that we have to kind of make an understanding of things and relate it to us in some way that it's purposeful and meaningful, like getting good grades, or hitting quota in sales, or contributing to the company in some way, shape, or form. You know, I mean, these things, they're not necessarily bad, but to have a job that relies on like external feelings and validations from other people, sources of materialistic things, like that can't make someone fulfilled and meaningful and happy internally. I don't see how that could work, cuz I've been doing a lot of like deep diving into myself, and maybe this is just me, but the times where I'm most happy is when I'm listening to my inner dialogue and I'm accomplishing those tasks that I set out for myself, or exploring and diving into topics that I'm generally curious or interested about. And those things cannot be replicated from other people because they don't think like me. I'm unique, just like you're unique and other people are unique. We all have past experiences and ways of being that we kind of make up who we are now. And I don't know. It just the whole job topic is a little bit ambiguous to me, um, and something I have to look into a lot more. These are obviously just all my personal thoughts, but I just think through what I've experienced that it's not the end all be all to what we're actually looking for. And to go back to this post about 20s being in your 20s as a way of like discovering yourself, like this is the time where you explore all your passions and things like that. To go back to the no timeline thing, sure, I think this is kind of brought up to the forefront of our cortex and things like that, but because we're kind of thrown into the real world with work, and we're kind of stuck in this cycle of meaninglessness, that we kind of just start to think about, like, is this all there is to life? Like, well, who really am I? Is getting an education and then a 9 to 5, or starting my own business doing XYZ, is that all there is to it? And something that I've taken on that might kind of help other people explore themselves a little bit and give them a little bit more fun is like, you have to be open to playing and to being curious about things and trying other things out. And I have a really big problem with, you know, saying I'm not interested in anything at all, but at the same time, I'm not diving into anything to the magnitude or ability or consistency that would otherwise make me interested in that particular subject. So, you're not going to love anything that you're not necessarily good at. There could be, I could be wrong about that. There could be some things out there that, like watching a movie, you know, or something like that. But um, when you're not good at something, obviously there's a lot of friction and traction, and you're not going to want to dive into that anymore because you're off the top of your brain. You're just going to say, I'm not interested in this. This is hard. I'm not good at it. I have to try something else. So you're kind of just on the surface of the ocean for all these different subjects and hobbies that you never get to experience the fruits of your labor later on. And the thing that I'm trying is just 30 minutes a day for 30 days. I'm going to show up regardless of how I feel and do the thing. And right now I'm taking on drawing. So each day I kind of log to myself how I'm feeling. Um, you know, either that's I'm in a motivated state, or am I even recording? Oh, fuck. I don't even know if I'm recording anymore. I am. Okay. Anyway, it's like I said, this is my first time doing all this, and yeah, I look like an idiot with my hat and everything, by the way. But um, pretty much what I was saying is like to show up and do something for 30 minutes a day, for 30 days straight. You kind of get to experience like you pushing towards a goal, you going towards something that you could visually see yourself getting better at. um there's a reference to ikigai, which is like a Japanese term for, I believe, a reason for being. And it involves what you're good at, what you love, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. And right in the middle of all that, with them combining together, it's your ikigai, and aka your reason for being. Um, and what I think you have to start at is you can't really try to just think about all those things at once. You kind of have to start at one place or the other. So I think you have to start at what you think you love or what you're good at. Um, and you could I haven't really figured this out completely yet, but if you start out where things, if you think about things that you love, for example, Legos, for me, um, and you're not the best Lego builder, but you love them, you will love it enough to get to consistently do that and get good at and strengthen that love and passion for it. And before you know it, you'll not only love what you do, but you'll be a great Lego builder, a great, I don't know what kind of niche topics there are on Legos, but you get the point. So so once you have those two bubbles without the thought of getting paid for the art that you're producing, or what the world needs, and all these external factors or reasons, you you come up with genuine art that's authentically yourself. And if you could do that properly, you have a pretty good chance of getting paid for it, because it's uniquely you. And not only are you skilled at it, but I would guarantee something that you're skilled at, and in something that you're in love with, will outcompete a lot of people in that same niche or market that you would be selling into. But you cannot go into Legos, or whatever the subject may be, with the first thought of how will I get paid for this, because then that gets rid of the art and the commitment and the love for doing the work that you're doing, which will all in all just F up every single circle that you have. Um, so that's just like a quick thing on the Ikigai portion. That's just a thought. I don't think I have it all fleshed out or anything. I'm trying to figure out my own philosophy on creation and things like that. But I do think creation has a very big part into our meaning. And I just don't see how education and jobs and starting your own business perhaps can necessarily give you all that meaning and fulfillment that you're searching for. And this is kind of like a common theme that I keep repeating, but that's just genuinely how I feel. And the answer that I would kind of rebuttal with that is like, I think you have to be in a consistent routine of creating things that are not only authentically you through what you're curious about or want to get good at or genuinely love, but it's about showing up in the beginning phases when you're least motivated and kind of building that habit, building the muscle um, for eventually getting good at that subject, so that the love and compassion that you have for that particular subject matter is strong and gets stronger. And and once you start to get better at the thing that you first off loved and got past those hurdles that you thought this wasn't your thing, but you kind of start to notice this passion start to build now, you kind of start to ask yourself, maybe this is my thing. Maybe I want to become the best at this thing, or what kind of projects would be exciting for me to do. It could be creating a board game, coming up with a song, um, building a new chair for your apartment. You know, I just think you have to be in the action of doing something, and through that doing, you kind of get to experience the the spark or excitement of creating something out of nothing. Um, and I'm kind of going all over the place. I have this Reddit post right in front of me, and I kind of just catch myself talking about random stuff that I don't even know makes sense. But to me, this post is just a genuine example of what we all kind of experience throughout our life, no matter the age. But I see it a common theme of it happening in our 20s. Someone that's experiencing that right now, and to not know what you're good at, what you love, and not have any goals puts you in a really meaningless spot if you're working or in school or whatever the case may be, because you're not getting anywhere. You're not doing what's you. You're kind of just floating in life. And then the longer you stay in that, I feel like it gets not only very hard, but you try to distract and numb yourself through, I don't know, reels, TikTok, junk food, all this crap. So my 2 cents on the subject would be, you could first think about things that you did growing up, or things that you think about nonstop all the time. Either you're conscious or unconscious about it. It could be, I have Legos. I think I like Marines in the U.S. Army is pretty cool to me. I don't know what that means, but you could kind of just really self-reflect and just ask yourself, like, why does it draw me into those categories? What did I do as a kid? Like, what would be fun to do now? Because you're only committing for, let's say, 30 days. It's not a career. It's not a way of life. You're just kind of dipping your toes in the water and giving it your full attention and effort to see if this is an avenue worth pursuing even more so. So that would be my advice, is just to try something out for 30 days, but it has to be a hobby. It has to be something fun, something where you play. Um, because at the end of the day, we're all just working to have more time to play, right? We're all just in jobs and doing school, um, other facets of life just to have more time to do things that we want to do. Um, so to really dial in on things that you might be interested in, and I know it's a lot easier to say that than it is to actually spark up things that you would be interested in. But I would just start with something you did as a kid, something you can't stop thinking about, something that you potentially want to be better at or get good at, not for the reason of getting paid, or where the industry is going to be later down the road, or a portfolio. Let's keep external reasons out of it. Let's just stick with what you generally think would be fun to see yourself improve in, and kind of just take part of. So I hope that kind of take helps with this kind of question. I'll see if I can link this subreddit post in the description. And I don't really know what this channel is. I'm just talking in my room. I just saw this, and I thought I'd take some other people on the same ride, because I don't like to type. So maybe, although I don't like to type, maybe I could try it for 30 days and see if I could write maybe a paragraph a day on a random world building story, because I am into world building. And maybe I could then turn that into, what's it called? 3D art animation. So I get to bring my world building stories into real life animations and movies. One kind of trickles onto the other, and then you kind of develop this persona, or become this person that internally you've always wanted, but you had to take the action of doing certain things and experimenting and not enjoying some things, and getting very passionate about other things in order to get there. So that's the whole journey about this, and that's my whole scoop. So skibbity da boop bob. I hope that if you're watching this, kind of, I don't know, put you in one different perspective than where you're at, but that's all I got. Take it easy, everyone.